Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily for Thursday, May 27th. I'm Greg Lawless alongside Simon Borg. And Simon, we have to get right into the international friendlies that took place last night. DC United, a 3-2 win over AC Milan. And this was a good AC Milan team that was on the field.
It was, and at one point DC was up 3-0 on them. And DC, having only scored 4 goals all year, get 3 in this game. Hopefully it's a spark for them.
It's pretty impressive. Ronaldinho was out there, Pato was out there. I mean, some very good players. DC United, we know they've been struggling. Last place in MLS, they get this result. It should be good for them. Also very good to see Chris Pontius getting back out there and looking like the Pontius of old. Out on the West Coast, the Seattle Sounders had a similarly good night, thumping Boca Juniors from Argentina 3-0. This was the Fredy Montero show.
Was the Fredy Montero show in the first half. Again, to me, he comes across as a player who is a playmaker. He's creative. He's not a finisher, and I don't think Seattle should be counting on him to finish goals. But in this role of creating havoc up front, if they can't count on him to finish goals, they might have to start looking for someone. Oh, wait a second. They have someone coming in after the World Cup, Blaise Nkufo. We'll see if that sparks in the second half of the season. New York Red Bulls, though, they don't need any spark when it comes to U.S. Open Cup qualifying. They finally got into the round of 16 with a 3-1 win over Colorado. John Wolyniec just continues to score in the Open Cup. Yeah, and Hans Backe, credit to him, he has this unit that he uses for Open Cup games and for the match they won against Juventus last weekend, where they capitalize on these opportunities. They work well together. Connor Chin, Austin Deleuze, and you have also Tony Chani in midfield. This team this unit is now knows how to work well together now.
Well, it's a young group. We'll see if they can work into the actual league play as well. New York have not won in 3 games in the league. Toronto FC, another team that have qualified for something, the CONCACAF Champions League. Second year in a row that they're into the CCL. Last year, of course, they didn't even get out of the qualifying round of that. Montreal and Vancouver with a 1-1 draw, and that put TFC in.
It's they defended their title, Toronto did, and look, it's the 5th MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions League, and with the drought that MLS has had in this competition, more teams the better.
That's pretty huge, actually. Good luck to Toronto when they get to there. Well, we're always building up this week up to the Columbus-LA match, the Battle of the Best that'll be taking place on Crew Stadium on Saturday evening. And we spoke to a couple of folks from ESPN, John Harkes and Jeff Carlisle, about the big game.
I think that there's a higher percentage that this is the first upset for the Galaxy. And I'll tell you why. I think both teams are very resilient in terms of the way they play, organized, compact. Bruce is very organized. But I just think that with Schelotto, he got the suspension the other day, a little bit of a game rest, and it gives him a chance to reassess things and sit back. He playing up front, I think they're going to do a very good job. Ekbo comes in on the left possibly and running at them with the width. I think they have a good opportunity to upset them.
I think Columbus barely in this one. I think they might get a player or two back from the national team camp. And I think given the guys that LA will be missing, namely Donovan and Buttle, that'll be the big difference. But I mean, LA, they're just defending like animals right now. So they've been really impressive to start the season. You almost wish this game was taking place a little bit later in the year when it wasn't impacted by the World Cup, but it should be a great game.
Well, before the weekend, there is, of course, Thursday night's ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes match. Chicago hosting Dallas. And Simon, a lot of talk right now that Schellas Hyman might be making a change in formation, or at least where Jeff Cunningham is going to play.
Yeah, Jeff Cunningham, who's been the striker up top for Dallas, hasn't really got going this season yet. Hyman is planning on putting him at right wing, and then putting Atiba Harris up top, more of a physical presence. I think it can work well for FC Dallas because Cunningham, a lot more space to run at defenders and to make things happen, and I don't necessarily think they lose his scoring touch from that position.
I disagree, actually. I'm a little worried about that because I think Cunningham is at his best when he's on the point, when he can spin in behind defenders. He actually is pretty good at holding the ball up, checking back to it, getting it from the midfielders, and then spinning into the space. We'll see if that works out to have that physical presence of Atiba Harris up top. On the other side, you have the Chicago Fire, who are winless in 3 matches and really have shown me no definition. I don't know really what this team is all about. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. They're almost the quintessential 4th place team right now. Yeah. They're not good enough to be in first, and they're not bad enough to be at the bottom.
They had a good stretch earlier in the season where the 4-5-1 was clicking for them, but they have kind of lost their way. The matches last weekend, the 2 international matches, they couldn't score a goal, 2 losses, didn't help. So they've lost their way, and it's an opponent, FC Dallas, which is going to be very difficult for them. I like what I've seen from FC Dallas thus far. far.
How important is it that Chicago will get Justin Mapp back from injury?
You know, I think it helps them, especially with regards to the midfield. The midfield is so critical to their play. Having players who can contribute in attack and create, and Justin Mapp is one of them. He was having a great season before he went down to injury.
He sure was. Well, that game is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes. That's it for the Daily Today. I'm Greg Lawless and Simon Borg. We'll see you tomorrow.